The practice of zeroing a rifle is very important. A rifle is a precision instrument with the ability to deliver well-aimed shots within inches of the point of aim at distances of several hundred yards. For hunting and target shooting, a common zero range for a rifle chambered in caliber .308 Winchester is 100 yards. The procedure for zeroing a rifle of this or any similar rifle is detailed below. In order to zero a rifle, you will need the following: a rifle with either iron sights or an attached scope, ammunition manufactured specifically for the rifle's chambering, an adequate range with a backstop that will not endanger other humans or wildlife, paper targets, and an object such as a box to affix them to. Do not forget a stapler, a sandbag, bipod, or some other method of resting the rifle during shooting, proper shooter safety equipment to include ear, eye, and environmentally appropriate clothing. Before heading to the range, the shooter can benefit by running the bullet manufacturer's published ballistic data through ballistics computing software. We can plug the data into the computer to determine the trajectory of a fired bullet's flight path. Required data includes the weight of the bullet, the fired bullet's initial velocity, the bullet's drag coefficient, the desired zero range of the rifle, and the approximate distance of the sight above the rifle bore. For more precise results, the expected shooting conditions, such as altitude above sea level, temperature, barometric pressure, and relative humidity, are also inputted. The output of this data will give us a rough idea of where we want to place our first target at the range. Looking at the data, we see at a range of 20 yards, the bullet drop is approximately 1 inch for a rifle that has been zeroed at 100 yards. We will remember this data for later. For now, we have all we need to go to the range and zero the rifle. Once at the range, it's paramount to understand one last key bit of detail. It is proper to ensure that any shooter is well versed in the ways of gun safety. The National Rifle Association gun safety rules are as follows. Rule number 1, always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Rule number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Rule number 3, always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use. With safety in mind, we are ready to walk up to the firing line and start executing our zero. Put all the equipment on the shooting bench and make sure you have everything you need. We should have the rifle unloaded with an open action, oriented upwards and downrange. We should also have our ammunition, in this case, inside of a detached magazine, as well as our ear and eye protection. We will want to wait until the range is cold before we go downrange to set up our first target. Once the range is cold, we want to set up our first paper target at the 20-yard mark we remembered from the ballistics computer software earlier. This will be the distance where we attempt to get our rounds on paper so that we can later shoot at 100 yards on a separate target. After setting up our target, we are ready for the range to go hot when everyone is back from downrange and on the firing line. After the range goes hot, begin wearing your ear and eye protection. We are now ready to get behind the rifle and set up a good firing position. We may use sandbags or bipods to steady the rifle as necessary. Once satisfied, we may load the weapon. Do not put your finger on the trigger yet. Carefully place the weapon's sights on the center of the target. Once satisfied, remove any of the rifle's safety features and fire when ready. Exercise diligence in firing to ensure that proper shooting fundamentals are observed, to include steady position, sight picture, breathing control, and careful trigger squeeze. Fire 3 shots consecutively, and then unload the rifle. Wait for the range to go cold. After the range goes cold, go down and check the target. Here we see that our 3-shot group is centered about 2 inches low and 1.5 inches to the left of bullseye. As you recall from the ballistics computer software, for this particular rifle, when it is zeroed at 100 yards, our shots at 20 yards should be about 1 inch low. So we need to make sight adjustments of 1 inch up and 1.5 inches to the right on the scope. We will return to the rifle and wait for everyone to return from the range. It is always safest to keep the gun unloaded, up, and untouched while anyone is downrange. We will then turn the dials on the scope for sight adjustments of up and right, using our best judgment as to the number of turns. In this case, about 10 to the right and 5 up. After the range goes hot again, we are safe to fire another 3-shot group at the target, aiming for center and applying good marksmanship fundamentals as before. Unload the rifle. When the range again goes cold, we can again go down and check the target. We now see we have succeeded in making the necessary adjustments to put a 3-shot group center and about 1 inch below bullseye. This should mean that we will be very close to our intended mark on a 100-yard target. We will utilize the range cold to set up another target at 100 yards. Returning from downrange and allowing the range to go hot will allow us to enter the final phase of the zeroing process. Making no further sight adjustments, we will shoot a 3-shot group at our 100-yard target, aiming center of mass. Be mindful that as this further range, any sloppy marksmanship fundamentals will really begin to show up. Take careful, well-aimed shots. After completing the 3-shot group at 100 yards, wait for range cold before going to see the target. We see that we have a very good group. It is center and about 1.5 inches low. If we would like, we can adjust the up adjustment dial on the scope 1 or 2 increments. Our rifle is now zeroed for 100 yards. At this distance, we can expect to hit a target by aligning our crosshairs on it. Targets at less range will hit slightly higher, and targets at longer range will hit incrementally lower of point of aim.